Hey guys, it's Aggie K, Wealth Therapist, and I'm having my delicious turmeric cinnamon tea and going to be talking about why the cost of something matters and why it can trigger a breakthrough. Don't really want that plug in the shot. Okay. So that's what we're talking about today. Why the cost of something matters and why it can trigger a breakthrough. Because well, think about it. When stuff is free, your subconscious works on redundant information. So for something to become true for you, you need to gather more and more and more and more evidence. Hey, Sam. So when there is no skin in the game, when there's nothing, like if you can just afford it sometimes, like it's not a big deal, it's not a stretch, it's not out of your comfort zone, then it goes into the redundant file of your subconscious that says this does not cause a breakthrough, right? So for example, and I was a therapist for a long time, therapy can often not cause breakthroughs. It can cause healing. It can cause, understanding your emotions. But there's something different about it also because of the cost, right? Because your brain accommodates this as redundant information that's maybe like support, listening, helping me figure things out, but it doesn't necessarily file it under a breakthrough. And that is what is required for you to have an actual financial breakthrough, is for you to start collecting information that's in your brain and your subconscious that says, this is how a breakthrough happens, right? So there has to be some skin in the game. There has to be some skin in the game. There has to be something to lose. There has to be a sense of urgency. There has to be, all of those factors help to drive your brain towards this is what happens when there's a breakthrough. So that's why it's so important. And that's why, when people come to you and ask you to lower your prices or to figure something out, and it doesn't feel good to you, you got to honor that, which is part 2. So part 2 of this is if you're choosing your pricing out of a place of victimhood, which is, I don't think they can afford it. I'm not sure what they can afford. I don't think they can afford much. Then you're deciding your pricing and you're reflecting, even unconsciously, victim mentality. And you're going to attract victims into that situation. You're going to attract people who can't afford stuff. So remember that that's not helping your clients, right? It's not helping your clients. And you can have different kinds of price points for different products, but I'm thinking about specifically your time, which is really your energy, which is really your gifts and your skill set. You want to be really careful around that pricing and to make sure that you're not deciding that from a place of victim mentality, because you don't want to activate that in your audience. You don't want to activate that in your clients. And you certainly don't want to activate it in yourself, right? You want to be choosing your pricing from an empowered place, from a place of seeing, your value and your worth, right? You definitely don't want to be deciding what your pricing is based on what you think people can afford, right? Because that is a slippery slope, because some people can afford this and other people can afford that. And it's very hard to know based on something external what you should be charging. It has to be coming from an internal place and from a place of like, what's going to serve you, and from a place of empowerment. And then you're activating in other people a belief that you believe they can pay it. Not only do you believe you're worth that, you also believe they can pay it, as opposed to, I don't think they can pay that because I don't think I'm worth that, right? So that's why it's important to, Brenda, this is a good one for you to watch. Hey, Brenda. Hey, Tracy. So this is really, really important. Drill this down, that if you're charging something that does not feel too good to you, that doesn't sustain you, that puts you into fight or flight, that trades your, time for dollars, then you're also activating that same thing in your client, right? You're also saying, this is okay for me, so it's okay for you, so let's struggle together. I'll charge you nothing because I'm not worth very much. That's the message you're sending. And then you probably get, people who ask a lot of you because they're in victim mode and they're trying to suck out every penny. And it's a vicious cycle, right? So remember that it's not always the case that you have to charge exorbitant prices. Not everybody has something that needs to be charged, $1 million for, but it has to feel good to you and it has to sustain the life that you want. That's the important part. Because if you're not doing that, then it's also making it tricky for that person to have a breakthrough with you, depending on what you offer or what you're selling. If you want them to have a breakthrough, you also have to condition them for that breakthrough. And if you're not charging very much, then that's getting filed away in their subconscious as probably something that won't cause a breakthrough, right? As opposed to something that might be a little out of their comfort zone or a lot out of their comfort zone, depending on what you offer, triggers something different in their brain, right? Something that they're used to paying might not do that. That's why you see people often like buying a lot of courses and stuff like that because they can afford it. Hey, Karen, are you warm? Are you toasty in Montreal? But that's often why you see people buying a lot of courses that don't change anything because they're not triggering that part of their brain that says this will cause a breakthrough. They're triggering a part of their brain that says this will give me more information. See the difference? So you want to make sure how you position that and what you charge is making people have skin in the game, because that's a reflection of you and your results. And if you're cozy, if you're undercharging, then you're also playing with your own results. Because when people don't have skin in the game, they often don't get as big results because they're not trying as hard to have a result, right? So that's important to you because your results are your business card. So you want to make sure you're charging something that is going to make people feel like they have skin in the game so that they're putting in the effort that is required to get a result. This isn't, 1,000% the case with every single person. But it's a general rule of thumb that when people have something to lose, all different things kind of get triggered that are out of their comfort zone. So that enables them to think differently. It enables their blocks to pop up, which is great for me, for example, as a mindset coach, because I'm like, oh, here comes the scarcity. Let's get rid of that. Here comes, the not good enough, the worthiness stuff. Let's get rid of that. And that's really to your advantage to help get them results. So those are the two things I want you to think about. What is the cost of the breakthrough? And if you're undercharging, you're also kind of playing it safe on the results, probably, so take a look at that. Take a look at if you're charging something that's going to allow people to have skin in the game and something to lose and triggering them into a different place. And I'm not advocating that people, scam people or take too much money that isn't worth the value, do. What I'm saying is that at a certain point, your brain says, this is safe. This is a safe investment for me. I'll be fine and I can relax about it. It does not trigger, this is going to be a breakthrough for me. I knew the day that I invested in that course, and obviously there's like other factors. There's, is this the right person? And is this the person I'm going to have the breakthrough with, and etc. But that is going to trigger something different in the person's brain as opposed to something they're used to paying, and something they're comfortable paying might not activate that part of their brain. So that's something for them to consider, and for you to consider that you're not mirroring any victim stuff in your pricing, right? That you're not choosing prices because you're scared to charge more, which is like a victim, worthiness shadow thing going on there, you want to take a look at that, because that's what you're going to activate in your audience. And that's going to be a pain in the ass. You don't want to do that. So those are my thoughts about pricing. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. And if you have any questions about pricing and worth and all of that stuff. And yeah, love you guys. It's the holiday weeks. Hope everybody is winding it down to enjoy some family time. Okay, Aggie K, Wealth Therapist. Like, love, share if this resonated with you. And I'm going to be posting some stuff later. Okay, bye guys. Happy holidays, Karen.